I think we are going to build a new street opposition in Germany, a new kind of out of parliamentarian opposition that we had in the 60s and 70s. Maybe it's now emerging of a new kind of this opposition. And I see these gatherings in the same wave of kind of let's say the global revolt that we're seeing since 4 years, starting with the Arabellion, going with the protests in south of Europe, the older worlds, with Occupy Wall Street, and I think this is a new wave of a global revolt that is now emerging in this special form in Germany. Originally, it was. I think this movement has three elements of its frame. One is the war in Ukraine, or against war in general, is the peace issue, and the second is the finance and economic system we're living in. It was starting also against the critic about against the Federal Reserve System. That was kind of strange for people like me. It was like, oh, what's this? Because it's in the US, why you're talking about the Federal Reserve, but it was an element of it. And the third was about the media, because it was especially a really shocking experience in the last weeks to see that during the conflict in Ukraine, how one-sided the media in Germany was against Russia, and kind of really a kind of a propaganda for preparing a military conflict. Yeah, this Monday protest called themselves Mahnwache. They started about 4 months ago by an individual initiative of a guy called Lars Mehrholz. He made a Facebook call for a demonstration against the war in Ukraine. But this started to get bigger and bigger, and especially after one big Facebook media channel, independent media channel called KenFM, started to back this Monday protests. It started to get bigger and bigger, getting several thousand people in Berlin, and then it started to spread all over Germany, and now even in Swiss and Austria. So at the moment we have these Monday gatherings in about 80 cities, and it's still spreading. The media was really slashing on these Monday gatherings.
From the very beginning?
From the very beginning, yeah. And they were saying it's kind of a right-wing, a far-right mobilization, because it's anti-Semitic, it's nationalist, it's, I don't know, whatever. And, okay, let's say some parts in this movement, especially in the beginning, maybe had some connection to the far right. Maybe, I don't know exactly. Yeah, some things have been said in some gatherings was for me also problematic. Some nationalists were around, even some neo-Nazis were around, but this was never the core of the thing and the core of the square of the people getting together. And yeah, the media was slashing on it. Some, I would call them kind of crazy, call themselves leftists that are no more leftists, were leading these attacks on these Monday gatherings. And yeah, and it hasn't changed in the last 4 months. Even after a lot of declarations of these gatherings against the far right, against discrimination in any sense, even against nationalism and all this, but the media is not recognizing this and still slashing on it. I was expecting that it will change the picture. They do. I mean, I'm a long-time activist. I've seen a lot of mobilizations which media was really confronting and slashing. After some while, say, "Oh no, it's not like this. It's kind of different thing." But till now, the media hasn't changed this picture of these gatherings, and now they are ignoring it. First they're slashing, now they're ignoring.
Now the media portrayed it one way. How is it really? What's really going on there? Who makes up the groups? What's the truth that the media is not telling you?
These Monday gatherings are one of the rare mobilization in Germany that are totally independent. That there is no political group behind it, and there are really, say, ordinary people coming together that are not connected to organizations. And I think that is very special because Germany is a really organized country in every sense. And even political protest is here traditionally a really organized thing. Yeah. We had kind of spontaneous mobilizations, of course, also here, but very rarely. And this one is the actual expression of it. The Occupy mobilization that was kind of copying the US experience of Occupy Wall Street 2 years ago was similar. It was already spontaneously and no big groups behind it. And this time it's also like this. And this is, I think, the most remarkable thing about this new Monday gathering, that they are independent, they are completely based on internet and social media. People are connecting with each other and organizing it. It's really spontaneously and independent.
So what would you say is the mission of these protests? What's the end goal?
I don't think that these mobilizations have an end goal. I think the topic of end goal is a failure, to be honest. I think the movement as itself is the goal, because these movements are kind of politicizing people, are politicizing the centers of the city with these gatherings. We are a voice to say no to war, to say no to this financial system, this economic system, and a voice to say we want a free media and a real democracy. So, and I think that's the main aim, to make this voice louder, to bring people together, to build up new communities that are based on cooperation, cooperative culture, on solidarity, and to build up a counterculture. There was one thing that really make a switch in my head. It was, as I went there first time, I was really worried that it's kind of a right-wing Tea Party coming to Germany, said, oh shit, we have to stop it. If it's like this, we have to stop it. And I went there and was watching it. I said, no, this is not kind of a right thing, okay? No, it doesn't make sense that these people, speakers are strange, but no, it doesn't make sense. Second, I said, okay, I have to watch it second time. The second time I went there was one guy speaking, and he made a fantastic speech. And one point he says, our movement is for a kind of global humanism. And there are some refugee protests in Berlin also, and he says these refugees, these are our people, and we have to be solidarity with these people. And all the square was applauding. And this was the moment I said, people who are applauding for refugee protests, to be called right-wingers, this is too much for me. No. And this was, okay, I will go in and I will try to bring all in to this movement. This is a kind of a really new current of mobilization in Germany. This is a new experience we are doing. People who have I was now in 8-9 cities. I was speaking in these gatherings, and Mahnwache is kind of a gathering, it's a German word. And I met a lot of people who were organizing these gatherings, and none of them, one. I was in 9 or 10 cities, and I met one guy who had a political experience before. All others were doing it for the first time, had never been to demonstrations. Some, maybe 1, 2, have never organized nothing, and they started now to do this together. And it's unbelievable and so fantastic how these people do it together. Bringing PAs, bringing tents, and organizing a lineup week for week. Since now 3-4 months, people have never experienced this. Show what we can do together if we work together, if we develop a cooperative culture, and work in solidarity together. This talking that people are not able to rule society. We need elites. We need people who are professors. I don't know something. We show that that is a big lie. People can't rule themselves, and this is a small experience of it that we are seeing now. We are living in really dangerous times. We are living in times that war is getting a normality in the global world. We are living in a time that empires are clashing against each other, and that the global capitalism is in a big crisis. And in these times, elites will try to divide us. At least we try to divide the underclasses into along lines of ethnicity, of religion, of color, of sex and something, sexual, of gender, white against black, Muslims against Christians against Jews, homosexuals against heterosexuals, and so on and so on. These projects of the elites are running all over the world to divide us. I think it's important to build the social unity of the classes, of the bottom classes of the society against the global elite and their system.
A drone, an unmanned drone flew over here. It's training, it's urban warfare. Identify yourself, fully loaded assault rifles.
Go across the street, sir. I understand legally, constitutionally, I do not have to go.
Let me call a photo.
Yeah. This is a public sidewalk. I film my rights like the back of my hand, and there's nothing in the penal code that says that you can't film on a public sidewalk.
That's not the only law.
All right, listen.